Hello, my name is Alexander Petrie, and I am one half of AA Entertainment. This is our new show, and for today I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite films of 2019. But before I begin, I'm gonna start from number 10, and then I'll work my way down to number 1. So at number 10, Jordan Peele's Us. So I love horror films. I think horror films are the greatest genre, but it seems as though with the advancement of film, I think horror films have gone backwards. I just don't think horror films pack the same punch as they used to. But ever since I saw Us in 2016, Jordan Peele has won my heart. I think he's an amazing film director. I'm a huge fan of his comedy sketches. And, you know, Us, same thing as Get Out, were the only times I remember feeling disturbed by a film at the movie theaters. And Us, with the music, the acting, and even the twist at the end, which I'll not give away. The twist at the end, I'm not a huge fan of movie twists, but for once, the twist made the entire viewing experience all the more disturbing. At number 9, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As a lifelong film buff, how can I not include a film from Quentin Tarantino? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might not be Quentin Tarantino's greatest film, but at the same time it's not his worst film, but it's certainly one of the greatest films of 2019. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's as opposed to Quentin Tarantino's other films where he mostly pays homage to the films that inspired him to become a filmmaker. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a sort of autobiography, a semi-autobiography. It's a reflection on his own life, where he is right now, and also it's a reflection of the decade of the 60s, and also the ending of the 60s that was, brought on literally by the year 1969, but also spiritually and metaphorically by the murder of Sharon Tate. And you can see by watching the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you can see his love for film and his love for the 60s. At number 8, this is actually a last minute change. At number 8, 1917. 1917, I hesitated in putting on my list because I didn't even want to see it in theaters because I do not like war films. But 1917, it was an amazing film. Sam Mendes, who I loved American Beauty. It's one of my all-time favorite films. 1917 is not one thing that I loved about it. He took a major risk by filming the entire film in one shot. Given with today's technological advances, it was a lot easier. But it reminded me of Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which was, all one entire shot. And I think that works amazing for a war film. I think it really expresses the true anxiety and tensions that soldiers put up with 24/7. At number 7, it's a documentary. It is called Aquarella. Aquarella, I saw in theaters in Voorhees, and it's, like I said, it's not a film, but I think it's a very beautiful film with beautiful cinematography. And it's just very brilliant. It's certainly not the only nature documentary I've seen, but it was the only one I've seen that made me want to watch it again and again. There is no dialogue, no actors. All you're looking at is ice and water, but with, I forgot the gentleman's name, but whoever directed it and filmed it know what they were doing, and it is not a movie to watch and then talk about it later. It is a life experience. It is a life experience you will never forget. At number 6, Mitsumar. So before I begin with Mitsumar, you would think, being a film buff who loves art films and loves scary movies, I would have loved Hereditary. I hated Hereditary. I thought the film was awful. But I remember seeing the previews for Mitsumar. I'm like, okay, I have to see it. I saw it the day it came out in theaters, and I loved it. It's certainly one of the reasons why I love Mitsumar. I'm not the biggest fan of Ari Aster, but Mitsumar did what most horror films should do. It was different. The cinematography was very impactful. There were even scenes where I felt my heart stopping in theaters. It was beautiful and terrifying. It was beautifully terrifying, and And I'm sitting in that theater, I felt like I had a plastic bag over my face. From start to finish, you have this uncompromising tension that's suffocating you from start to finish. And it's just a horror film that I highly recommend everybody watch. At number 5, Joker. So I'm not the biggest fan of superhero films, but interesting fact, when I saw it in theaters, I showed up on Friday night, the entire theater was barricaded by cop cars, and even when the film wrapped up, when me and my friend left the theater, we were the last persons in the theater, I had a cop with a canine sniffing through all the seats, which was pretty interesting. But again, I think Joker was an amazing film, especially in a day and age with stuff like 13 Reasons Why, where like depression is what a 13-year-old girl feels. I think Joker really, I felt bad for the Joker, and it even showed how a man can be, and it also brings to life the philosophy that a child who's not nurtured by the community will burn it down. It's just a very intense, tragic film, which was the only film I've seen in years that made me leave the theater really shaking up. I was shaking up and I almost cried at the end. At number 4, Richard Jewell. So, I love Clint Eastwood. I think he's an amazing actor, and he's made some pretty good films, but I wouldn't say he's the greatest film director of all time. As a matter of fact, his recent films tend to be pretty dry. But Richard Jewell, I saw it in theaters 4 times. I think Richard Jewell is an amazing film. It tells the story of an everyday man who just does whatever he can to make his dreams come true. All he wants to do is be a cop and live a modest life. And it goes to show how, Nazi and fascist the American government and the media can be, and how it can crash down and destroy a human's life. And another thing I loved about Richard Jewell, he had a real life Paul Blart. He had a very kind-hearted, down-to-earth Mr. Rogers type person up against this Patrick Bateman type FBI agent. This real hard-ass Takamata, you could say. And the whole film, it really struck a chord with me, and it was a surprisingly great film. It was just a really, really good film. That's all I can say. At number 3, Jojo Rabbit. I'm gonna say it right here and now. My grandfather, Holocaust survivor, me, Jewish, probably Orthodox Jewish. Us Jews love it when people make fun of Hitler, and we love Jewish humor, and we love it when people make fun of Hitler. We get a huge kick out of it. So, yeah, needless to say, I drove an hour without missing a beat, and I saw Jojo Rabbit in theaters. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Thor Ragnarok, and I wasn't even the biggest fan of What We Do in the Shadows, but Jojo Rabbit was an amazing film. It was hilarious in all the right parts, and it was tragic and heartfelt in all the right parts without, damaging, without ruining any of the other emotions, which is very rare in a film, and it's hard to do. And with amazing performances by Sam Rockwell, Taika Waititi with his hilarious performance as Hitler, and Scarlett Johansson as the mother. One thing all I can say is about Jojo Rabbit, you'll know exactly what you're getting into in the first 10 minutes. In the first 10 minutes, I remember us laughing hilariously in my seat, and then boom, this one scene, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but this one scene hits you, and I'm like, oh shit, this is sad, this is tragic. At number 2, The Lighthouse. I was actually in Disney World when I saw the preview. I was on my phone. So, whoever the hell directed it, I forgot the guy's name. But I liked The Witch. Robert Eggers. I liked The Witch. That was an okay film, but The Lighthouse, I remember I watched that preview at least 10 times a day up until I saw it in theaters. And I very much enjoyed that film. It was very different. It reminded me of the films that inspired me to become a filmmaker, like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu. And the whole film, you just have 2 actors, Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, who deliver amazing, convincing performances. And even in a sense, The Lighthouse itself plays a very personified character in the whole film, and so does the seagull. It's a very simple film, but it's a very effective film, especially the cinematography and the black and white. It all just works ideally. It's just a 100% perfect film. At number 1, Climax. Climax is from controversial director, man, I forgot the gentleman's name. Gaspino. It's from controversial director Gaspino, who's most known for perhaps his most controversial film, Irreversible, which I highly recommend everybody watch. So, Climax, I saw it in theaters. I had no idea what I was getting into. I just saw it was playing and like, ooh, French film, Gaspino, gotta see it. My jaw dropped to the floor. Within the first 5 minutes of the film, my jaw dropped to the floor, and I didn't blink. Once the credits wrapped up, once I got in my car, once I drove an hour back home, I stayed the same. Couldn't blink. My jaw couldn't get off the floor. I'm gonna say it right here, Climax was the greatest film I've ever seen in theaters. It's an amazing trip. I feel like I was on LSD myself. The music was amazing. And also Gaspino knows what the hell he's doing with the dances. He doesn't cut it, he doesn't add all these camera shots. He knows how amazing and aesthetically pleasing the human body is and how it dances. And he really knows how to convert that and emphasize it on film, which is very difficult to do. So that was my top 10 list for 2019. Drop your comments below, let me know what your favorite film of 2019 was, and thank you for watching Double Entertainment.